MBSR. So welcome, Imelda.
Hello.
Nice to engage with this mindful movement with you. And the first thing we do when we practice mindful movement is just to check our physical space. So making sure that the space is protected, there's no disturbances, the temperature is right. Maybe have a blanket with you, next to you somewhere, because we'll be doing a short body scan. So just have it kind of close to you so that you can cover yourself afterwards. So yeah, just making sure that you have all the conditions ready for your mindful movement practice. So the first movement is a laying down posture. So just feel free to lay down on your back. With your arms to the sides of your body. And just pausing here, just arriving here into this posture. Just feeling and sensing into the body. And if you can see the screen, that's fine, but if you can't see the screen, don't worry about it. As long as you can hear, that's okay. You can be guided by the verbal instruction. Just pausing here, just tuning into the body just the way it is. Noticing perhaps all the contact points where the body connects with the floor. Perhaps just sensing gravity pulling the body into the support of the floor here. So sensing inwards, feeling inwards into the body. And trusting that the ground, the floor will hold you. So you can let go a little into that support of the floor beneath you. And taking a moment here to notice the breath in the lower abdominal area. And if you like, you may wish to take a deeper breath here and soften the body a little, let go a little. And also just taking a moment to notice the natural breath, the rise and fall of the belly, without changing the breath in any way. So just anchoring for a moment our attention on the breath here. And so the first movement from this moment of awareness is going to be raising both arms at the same time, up towards the ceiling and then behind your head, if possible. If it's not possible to raise your hands and arms behind your head, you can always bend the elbows to accommodate. So just start raising your arms and tune into the movement. So mindful movement is about sensing and feeling the movement as opposed to thinking about it. And then allowing the arms to go behind your head if possible. And as they come over to the back of the head and touch the floor, notice that connection with the floor once again. Maybe noticing a point of release here. And try to find your own speed, so not too slow, not too fast, somewhere in between. And this is not about getting it right or perfect. This is about using the movement as a way of cultivating awareness. So feel the movement, sense the movement. If you're going too fast, slow down. If you're going too slow, consider balancing the speed. Feeling the stretch in the body. And just continue once more. Noticing perhaps if there is a kind of striving, like I need to get this right, or maybe a kind of giving up, like, oh, I can't be bothered with this. It's too much. So there might be self-talk about it. Just notice that and come back to the movement. And just making this your last cycle. Don't rush, take your time. And on the last cycle, just really let your hands come down slowly until they touch the floor, and then take a moment to notice that connection with the floor as the hands rest once again by your sides. Feeling, perhaps sensing perhaps a kind of release, if possible. Keep your mind in your body. And then pausing here. Maybe taking a deeper breath here. Don't rush. Take your time. Feel into the support of the floor beneath you. And now, if possible, from this moment of awareness, extend your arms outwards to form like a T position and keep them flat on the floor. But if that's not possible, that's okay. You can just keep them by the side, so that's okay too. And we'll be rocking on the pelvis. So we'll be engaging the pelvic muscles. And the first thing is to press down on the tailbone. But before we do that, we need to bend our knees and bring them to face the ceiling by keeping the feet flat on the floor. So bending your knees mindfully. And so the knees are pointing to the ceiling and feet flat on the floor. And we'll be rocking on the pelvis, so we'll be engaging that part of the body. And so once you've bent your knees and have them pointing to the ceiling, just press down on the tailbone. So the first thing is just pressing down on the tailbone. And as you press down on the tailbone, you will notice that there is a subtle arch created at the waist. And you can even place your hand underneath the waist just to notice that little arch. And once you've done that, you can bring your hand back to the side. And now pressing the waist down strongly, you'll notice that the tailbone slightly rises up. Not lifting of the mat, but rocking. So feeling into this pelvic tilt or this pelvic rock. Rocking on the tailbone, creating an arch at the waist, and then flattening the arch, rolling and rocking on the tailbone. And taking this slow, if at all feeling comfortable for you. Remembering that we have choice at all times and only doing the movements if they are comfortable for you, never causing any harm or pushing through any resistance. So taking full responsibility for our health and well-being. If something doesn't feel right, just stop. You can always visualize yourself doing the movement. So go gently. Go gently. So rocking on the tailbone. Pressing the waist down, noticing the arch. Tailbone rises slightly. Again, not lifting of the mat, but just rocking. So feeling into this pelvic tilt or this pelvic rock. Rocking on the tailbone, creating an arch, flattening the arch, rolling on the tailbone. In your own way, in your own time. And bringing this movement back to stillness. And now, this next movement is bringing the knees close to your chest and placing your arms underneath the knees. So cupping your knees underneath. So try not to place your hands over the knees because that can cause some strain, but just underneath. And just breathing here, pausing here. And again, if this is challenging, if this movement is not easy, you can adjust the movement to suit your own needs. And if it's difficult to lift your knees up, you can keep your feet flat on the floor and just hold them in some other way. So always feel free to adjust the movement to meet your own availability, your own accessibility. And here, beginning, if it's comfortable, doing some gentle sideways rocking. So just moving the legs to the side and just rocking gently, feeling into this movement, sensing into this movement. What does this feel like? Staying in the body with the body. If the mind wanders, bring it back. Bring it back to the movement. And only do what you are comfortable with. There should be no pain, no major discomfort. You might notice resistance, that's okay. And you can always use the breath at any time to breathe into any resistance, to soften any resistance, as opposed to trying to get rid of it. And bringing this movement back to stillness. And continuing the holding for a moment, if that feels comfortable, and just taking a breath here and pausing here. Letting go a little here. And now, if you care to, bringing the knees closer to your head and your head closer to your knees. They don't have to make contact. It might be a subtle movement. So be mindful of striving or need to get this right. Gentle movement, slow, mindful movement. And then release your head. Pausing here. And then once again, if it feels comfortable, bring your head closer to your knees and your knees closer to your head. Hold it for as long as you are comfortable to hold it. And release your head and your neck when you're ready. In your own time, in your own way. And then guiding both feet flat on the floor, but don't just drop them. Use your hands to guide them and support them down. Don't just drop them. Be kind to your body. And keep your knees pointing to the ceiling. And just pausing here, breathing here. What do you feel in your body? Where is your mind right now? Can you bring it back to your body? Maybe taking a soothing breath to soften, to ease into the awareness itself of the body. And then placing your hands underneath one of the legs, underneath the knee, and extending the other leg flat on the floor. So maybe starting by extending the leg flat on the floor, keeping one of them bent. And then place your hands underneath the knee. Or if that's difficult, to the side of the knee. Or if it's difficult, you can keep the foot flat on the floor. That's fine too. And now if you care to, if it's okay for you, start bringing your knee towards your head and your head towards your knee. They don't have to touch. And hold it only as much and as long as you're comfortable to hold. So we're working with our edges of discomfort, not pushing through. Be mindful of striving here. And then release your head down. And slowly guide your leg down to the floor. Don't just drop it, guide it down. Pausing here, breathing here. And bringing the opposite, bending the opposite leg so the knee points towards the ceiling, and notice as you bend that, feel that movement. And again, just bringing your hands underneath the knee, cupping it, and repeating the same movement by bringing your knee close to your head and your head close to your knee. They don't have to touch, so notice what's here in the body. Notice what's here as sensations, maybe feeling the stretch. And then release your head back down, relax your neck. And slowly guide your leg down with your hands back to the floor. And as you slide the foot, notice that connection of the foot with the floor as it slides back into the resting position. And pausing here, letting the arms rest to the side. Breathing here. Maybe taking a deeper breath if you care to. And from this moment of awareness, I'd like to invite you to support yourself into a sitting on the floor position. So use your wisdom. How can you move up safely, mindfully, from the laying position to the sitting on the floor position? So take your time to navigate this transition. Do it slowly, do it mindfully. And once you come to the sitting position, you'll be moving into what we call the table posture. But don't rush, take your time. So the table posture is demonstrated as you get onto your hands and your knees, almost like a table with 4 legs, and having your arms and your hands shoulder width, so not too wide, not too close, not too much in the front of you or the back of you, but kind of shoulder width, and having a bit of a gap between your thighs, so opening your thighs a little bit. And just pausing here, breathing here. And the first movement is what we call the cat position. So imagining that somebody is attaching a thread to your mid-back area and they'll be pulling that string up. And so you're arching your back up gently, gently, slowly, and loosening your neck. So relaxing your head downwards. And just holding this posture for a moment, breathing here, softening here, and then that string is being dropped and your back comes back to the table position, and you can start extending your head looking upwards as if to the ceiling, and we move into the cow position. You don't have to look all the way up, just make the movement as if you're looking towards the ceiling or in front of you, bending the back the opposite way. And then reversing again, feeling that somebody's pulling by a thread, so letting the head go down, back arching, being pulled by that string. And then down again. So continuing this for the next few moments, if comfortable, working with your own edges. Being mindful of striving or needing to do it fast or needing to do it too slow. So be here now, in this body, in this moment. Making this your last movement and coming back to the table position. And once you've come back to the table position, just pausing here, breathing here. Noticing what's happening in the mind. Maybe there's like a kind of giving up, I can't do this, it's too hard. Or maybe it's like striving, I'm going to get this right. Maybe there's just a restful awareness of what is. Again, if at any time you need to sit it out or pause by sitting down, you can do so. So use your own wisdom. You always have choice. And so the next movement will be extending our arm forwards. So just extending the right arm in front of you and the opposite leg backwards to the back of you. And not too high, just kind of parallel to the floor. And notice what this feels like. Is this easy? Is this hard? And sometimes it helps to place your focus on the floor, somewhere where you can choose to look at. And then bring your hand down first, and then your leg down. Pausing here, breathing here. And then reversing the other arm, stretching it out in front, and the opposite leg parallel, so not too high, just parallel with the floor. And notice what happens to your balance here. And then come bringing your arm back down, bringing your leg back down. And just breathing here. And you may wish to repeat this if you like. One arm in front, the opposite leg. So we'll do this one in silence without guidance. And then coming back down onto the table posture. And then the next movement is just opening the back legs a little bit, so creating a bit more space, and placing your buttocks either on your back legs or between. So we're moving into the child pose, slowly, gently. And if you can't sit all the way down, just make that movement towards that posture. And placing your head down if that's possible. You can use your hands as support, as Imelda is demonstrating. So you can place your hands underneath your head. If your head can't touch the floor. So Imelda will just demonstrate by placing your hands underneath. So you can do that. And just pausing here. Breathing here. Just do what you can. This is not about getting it perfect or right. This is just about being mindful of the movement. So be aware of any striving. You can always adjust this movement to suit your own capacity, doing only what you feel comfortable to do. And just breathing here, softening here. Sensing into the body here. And now I'd like to invite you to, again in your own way, in a way that's wise to you and appropriate to you, support yourself back onto the floor, laying on your back. So how can you do this safely, with awareness, and slowly? Don't rush. Do it mindfully. Bring in awareness here as well. Take your time to transition back into the what you call corpse position, laying flat on your back. Take your time. Don't rush. And pausing here. Breathing here. Sensing into the body here. And from this moment of awareness, I'd like to invite you to place your hands underneath your head, so bending your elbows as demonstrated by Imelda, so that your head is resting on your hands. And then bring both of your knees pointing to the ceiling by bending your knees, keeping the feet flat on the floor, again slowly. And if this is comfortable and appropriate for you, start bringing a sideways movement with both knees just to one side, bending them at the waist to one side, and only go as far as you are comfortable, so they don't have to touch the floor. Even if it's a subtle, minor movement in that direction, that's fine. Be mindful of striving. Don't push, don't force. Slowly, with kindness, with awareness. And feel the stretch here in your body. And if you wish to accentuate that stretch, you may wish to, if it's safe for you to do so, turn the head in the opposite direction. But again, it can be a small movement in the opposite direction, looking to the side. And breathing here, softening, letting go here. And then bring the head back to center first, slowly. And then slowly bringing your knees back to center. Do it gradually with awareness. Pausing here, breathing here, giving the body time to stabilize here. And if you feel comfortable, bringing the twist to the opposite side. Bending your lower legs and knees to the other side. Again, in your own time, in your own way. And if you do wish to accentuate the stretch, you can bring your head tilting it to the opposite direction. Remember, your legs don't have to touch the floor. It can be a subtle movement in that direction. Feeling the stretch, sensing the stretch here. So take your time. Feel into this movement. Sense into this movement. breathing here. And now bringing your head back to center. And then slowly bringing your legs back to center once again. And then slowly guiding your legs, sliding them down and feeling that connection of the feet with the floor as they slide. So do it slowly. Stay with the movement. Keep your mind in your body. Feel it. Sense it. And once they touch the floor flat, maybe noticing a kind of release, if possible. And you can use the breath here. Maybe a deeper breath and softening the body. And just pausing here. Letting go into the support of the floor beneath you. The floor will hold you. So see if it's possible to let go a little into that support. Feeling your breath here in the lower belly perhaps. Abdomen rising and falling. And expanding your awareness to include your whole body. Bringing your arms back to the sides if they haven't rested there already. Letting them rest naturally to the side of your body. And expanding your awareness to include your whole body resting here. Feeling into the vitality, the life of this body. Feeling the support of the floor. Feeling maybe the pull of gravity as the body is pulled into the floor itself. Maybe letting go a little. Releasing, softening a little here, if possible. Feeling the feet, the lower legs, the knees, the thighs, the buttocks and pelvic region, including in our awareness the lower back, the lower abdominal space, the solar plexus, the spine and where the back connects with the floor, with the mid-back, the upper back and the shoulders, the chest, the upper arms, through the shoulders again, the elbows, forearms, hands, and expanding the awareness back up the arms and into the neck, back of the head, top of the head, forehead, the jaw, and the whole face. And resting for a moment in the awareness of the whole body. Softening with this awareness, this kind, friendly awareness of the way the body is right now, with all its multitude of sensations, whether comfortable or uncomfortable or neutral. Just resting the body in this spacious, friendly, open awareness. And beginning to reorient ourselves back into our physical space, so beginning to stretch in a way that feels comfortable, opening our eyes, taking your time to transition back into full waking. So stretch however your body wants or needs to stretch. Take your time, don't rush, and then slowly come back to the full sitting position. Once we've come back to the full sitting position, just taking a moment to do some self-inquiry. How was this experience for me? What did I notice here in this mindful movement? Was it challenging? Was it easy? Was it somewhere in between? Did I notice any sensations, any emotions, any thoughts? How was this experience for me? So just reflecting with ourselves, for ourselves, in this way, just for a moment or two.